All right. We are back. Welcome, 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 everyone, to the Deal Heal Fulfill community. Thank you guys once again for checking in. Welcome, everyone. Thank you again for checking in. This is Ernest. I am Ernest James, of course. I am your host and the moderator of our community, because again, this is our community, not just mine. So thank you guys for tuning in once again. Real quick, you guys, do me a favor, hit that invite button and invite your suggested friends by Facebook. They usually give you about 10 people right off the bat. So just click those 10 people and send out a invite for them to join the community. Also, for all of our new members, I want to say welcome to you guys. Make sure that you guys look in the featured section. There is a post that says welcome, but there's a free gift for all of our new members and our current members. If you haven't filled it out already, make sure you fill out that form so I can send you your free gift as my gift to you for joining our amazing community, as well as send you some very great information that's available that I want you to know about too, for being a part of this community that we are growing. So today, just like I would say any other day, but just like the last couple of days, I want to say thank you guys so much for signing up for these Meet the Community it was Meet the Community Mondays. It's not Meet the Community Mondays anymore, but it's Meet the Community interviews, because you guys have been signing up and we have been having some great conversations and introducing some great people to the community. And letting you guys know that we are here. And today is just as good, right? Today is just as good. I have a friend who we haven't connected in quite a while. When I started the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, so many years ago, because now I'm on like 170 some episodes. And so, Angie, you were one of my first episodes in the earlier days. So it's been a while. We're going to have to get you back on there. Because I know you've grown since then, as well as myself. But I want to welcome Angie to the to the community. I was going to say to the couch because I read your name. So how have you been? How you doing?
I'm well, and first of all, congrats on just the success of this show and just to hear about how well it's doing. So thanks again for having me on. I'm doing pretty good.
No problem, no problem. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining the community. Again, I'm trying to really grow this community so that we can help each other and support each other in all of our endeavors, definitely in our healing journey, in our purpose journey that we're all on. But then each of us have our own thing that we're doing. And I'm like, hey, let's just support one another and bring our resources to the community, in a way that, we can all uplift each other. And so, Angie, do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Thank you. My name is Angie D. Lee, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, i.e. a therapist, and also an intimacy coach. And I primarily work with couples on helping them reignite passion, pleasure, and connection in their relationships. So that's pretty much a nutshell in regards to what I do.
And when we met, years ago, I know you were the intimacy coach then. What has changed since then until now? Because I'm sure you have expanded since then.
Well, yeah. So when we first met, I was strictly doing coaching sessions with couples, which I still do. But I will say that more so, I'm being asked to speak a little bit more on some larger platforms, and that's kind of taking a little bit more of my time. But also, I do like the opportunities because it helps me to reach more people at once than I would if I was just working with a couple one-on-one. So I've been kind of scaling back a little bit on that direct coaching, but I do get people still reach out to me and ask me about my services. They're just very limited. So a lot of times when I don't have that much time, so sometimes those prices kind of go up a little bit because of that. But yeah, basically I've been doing a lot more speaking, definitely expanding my platforms as well, where I can share videos, informational videos, Obviously, I'm still writing, and so I have my most recent book that's out is called The Intimacy Guru, and that's helping couples reignite passion, pleasure, and connection in their relationships. So definitely, I've done that, and definitely working on more books in the near future. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do, like day in and day out. I am talking about intimacy, relationships, couples, how to just bring that spark back, how to reconnect. That's what I do all day, every day.
Okay, cool. So how many books do you have you written thus far, and are they available on Amazon?
They sure are. So I've written and published, self-published 3 books. 2 are novels, and then the third book is a nonfiction book that's more so kind of like a how-to,
Okay.
if you will. And then also I do some ghostwriting. Obviously, I don't talk about who those clients are because it's
Right,
ghost,
right.
but
Understandable.
I've ghostwritten 3 books as well, and they're all novels as well. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. So I definitely want to make sure, when you get a chance, send me the links to those, or just send me the names of the books, and I'll look them up myself. Because again, I definitely here I'm very big on books.
Mhm,
For whatever reason, but I like books, so I'm very
mhm.
big on books, so I always share the books. We actually have a guide tab here in the community, and that's called Books to Grow On. And so I'm constantly uploading new books and things of that nature, and especially of the people that's in our community to support. But yes. So I had a question, and it kind of went through. Oh, I know what I want to ask you. So you mentioned about getting more into speaking. Is it more virtual speaking that you're doing, or are you doing a lot more in person on stages speaking?
It's been a combination of both. I would definitely
Okay.
say more so virtual, just because I just think the landscape in which we're all kind of operating in,
Mhm.
it just makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you really think about it from a financial, like economic standpoint, a lot of
Yeah.
times people may feel like budget wise, it makes sense to host something online, have people come in, and then have a speaker online. So I'm definitely invited to a lot of virtual platforms where it may be one big workshop for the day, it may be a weekend situation where everyone is buying like these tickets so that they can not only listen to you speak but also have some type of dialogue or one-on-one with the speaker as well. So they have like tiers when it comes to like
Mhm.
the pricing of the tickets. So yeah, it's been a mixture of both. But I don't know. I feel like I've found this sweet spot a long time ago with like being a guest on podcasts. I get
Mhm.
invited on like um, an amount. I can't even get the words out. It's so many podcasts that I get invited to like very regularly. And I'm very appreciative of that and honored, because then I'm also exposed to various audiences as well, and people that are like, I hadn't even heard of you. And, this is really
Right.
great information that you're sharing. So I'm always so appreciative of being invited on a podcast. So I always welcome it for sure.
Yeah. And as a speaker and as a just a business person, period, I definitely encourage everyone. There's so many podcasters out here. You can find one in your niche that
Mhm.
deals with what you want to, what you want to talk about. And I know here on Facebook, 2 of them that I've been active in really is a group called Need a Guest.
Okay. Oh,
That
yes.
works very
Right.
well for me.
Mhm.
And then I just joined another group that's called Christian Podcasters or something
Okay.
like that,
Yeah.
and just started, reaching out to them and being active on that platform. But yeah, and especially once you get into the rhythm of it and being on different podcasts, podcasters watch podcasts. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So they be like, "Oh, I
Exactly.
like her," and then they hit you up, be like, "Hey, come on
Right.
my podcast." And I
Mhm.
always remember my journey of where I started with just
Mhm.
someone just hit me out the blue and like, "Would you like to be on my podcast?"
Yeah.
And that wasn't even visual, it was just audio.
Yep.
And I did that podcast, and right after that I got about like 6 or 7 more requests
Exactly.
to be on
Yeah.
podcasts, and which led into starting the Deal to Heal podcast.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
a couple
For sure.
years later, here we are, with two podcasts going.
Exactly.
But I wanna pick your brain a little bit, because man, these dating streets is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
These dating streets is crazy. Unfortunately, I went through a divorce. I think I was probably going through my divorce when we met at first when I did the first podcast. And so it's been a couple of years now. And probably last year, I think I was just like, all right, let me throw my head back out here a little bit and see what's out here. Did the whole online dating thing. And man, I just don't know these days. I don't know about I think, and I'm gonna be 49 this year, right? And I would think that once we've gotten into our 40s, that we kind of have an idea of how these things work. And mainly because most of us, if we are not still in our first marriages, at 40, almost 50, we probably been around the block at least twice. You know what I'm saying?
At least. Right?
So I'm, just me personally, I'm like, all right, we should have an idea of how this thing is supposed to work. But I've just found, maybe it's just me. Okay. And I'll just say maybe it's just me, and maybe it's just my mindset. I am old school, I am old school. I was raised in a 2-parent household. So I've seen, watch my parents go through the ups and downs of life, to, the earlier parts of my life where we lived, I want to say high middle class lifestyle. We had the house and the cars and the picket fence and the dog. We had all of that. Nice. And at some point lost everything. And my dad and mom, which I talked about earlier today when I did the my 9 o'clock live, just kind of sharing my story, we ended up losing everything. And my mom and dad and their 9 kids, so it's 12 of us, end up staying in 1 bedroom in my grandmother's house. And she only had a 3-bedroom ranch, no basement. So it just, so you can imagine how small that was. But to go from that to lose everything, take a couple years to rebuild, and end up buying another house, where we actually moved into it, and things were a lot better. But that was a journey in between that. And so that's been my experience of watching my parents through the ups, through the downs, but still stick it out, especially my father, because he had 9 kids, you know what I'm saying, and a wife. He could have easily been like, you know what, I'm out, I just read about me, but he didn't, and so that's my example, right? So when I go into these new streets, these new dating streets, and I'm like, I want to build, first of all, outside of the romantic relationship, I want to build the friendship that is going to carry us throughout the ups and downs, because the love is not going to carry us, because I might not like you tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But if we have that right friendship and relationship, that will carry us through the ups and downs. But what I've been finding, in these streets, these women was like, no, I want to be your friend. And I'm like, how is that even a thought, that you want to be with someone that you're not friends with? I don't understand that logic. Can you help me out?
Well, first of all, I just have to ask, what age range do you feel like you've been kind of coming in contact with more in the dating street?
I stay in my age. So I kind of go 5 years younger, 5 years older.
Gotcha.
Right. So between 45 and 55, and more closer to 50 than 55. But but you said I'm still running into the same thing, and even within that, just like I don't understand it.
So you're saying like a casualty type of thing with the women, more so like, I just want to have a good time, nothing too serious.
Well, so that's how I approach it, because again, I've been divorced twice, and one of the things that I feel that was missing, at least now, is that bond of being able to stick it out. And from my understanding, like, if you don't have a solid friendship, because again, your looks is going to fade, your finances is going to change, the economy, all of that is going to change. But if you have a solid friendship to build on, that'll kind of carry you. And so that's how I addressed it when I started, coming back into these streets. I'm like, look, I want to be friends first. Can we build a solid friendship, and then go from there? But what I'm finding, most of these women are just like, no, I don't want to be friends. I got enough friends. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but how you gonna build a relationship that with
Right.
someone that you're not friends with? You
Yeah.
know, and so I'm vocal about that. I'm like, I want to start being friends first. I
Yeah.
want to just be cool to be
Right.
around. You might not even
Exactly.
like being around me. How are we gonna jump into a relationship if you don't even know me? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Especially if we go through another pandemic where we stuck in the
Yeah.
house together. Where we going? You know
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
But
That's a good point. Like,
they
what do we
just
got to
yeah,
do? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just have
Definitely.
this idea of I mean, I don't know what the idea of,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, I just don't understand that logic of trying to build a relationship
Mhm.
without the foundation of a friendship. I just don't understand that.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what I see a lot of times. So, when I tell people I'm an intimacy coach, a lot of times they're like, they kind of go towards sex first, but
Right,
in all
right.
honesty, I'm dealing with people on a very vulnerable level, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, intimacy. Um, I'm not a dating coach though. So when I talk to people, I let them know, like, I'm not here to teach you how to date, or anything like
Mhm.
that. But my goal is to just kind of help you first and foremost reconnect with yourself. And a lot of times there's a disconnect with a lot of people between themselves. There's a
Mhm.
disconnect. And so, like, you're meeting, sometimes these people that are out and about and they haven't really truly
Yeah.
connected with what's going on, inside of them, whether they've been married before and were divorced and didn't really take the time to heal, and kind of
Mhm.
deal with those things. And then two, sometimes, maybe they just still have baggage from
Yeah.
past relationships, even not even romantic relationships, the relationships with their family members, with their parents, like, and they're bringing all of that to now 2025, and then you compile that with a lot of the distractions and a lot of the expectations and all of the different things that are being said on social media, and so people are constantly just consuming so much information that they
Yeah.
haven't even taken the time to really hear their own thoughts. And so
Yep.
then they come out here and they're like, well, I believe that, if you're interested in me, we should be talking about marriage, on the first date. And it's like, logically, that doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Just like logically. It's like, that's like me needing, that's like me going to the bank wanting a loan. And the loan officer is not asking me any specific questions about my history just to see what my credit is like. Can I be reliable with, this amount of money? Like, we have to build the relationship. And because everything is so quick, fast, in a hurry now, it's literally like we're trying to skip all of these natural
Mhm.
steps that go into connecting. And that's what we're missing big time in modern society, for sure. So that's
Yeah.
what I see a lot of times. And like I said, again, I do see a lot of women, even in the age range of 40 plus, who, and this is no slight, I am in the 40 plus category, but I'm saying it's a lot of people who are just confused and they
Yeah.
don't want to admit that. You're confused, sweetie. You
Yeah.
need to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's
And
why.
you know what? And I want to hit on a couple of things that you said because it's definitely true. Even myself, it wasn't until after my divorce that I really did a self check in and really got into personal development and
Mhm.
really getting to know myself. So I don't knock anyone from not being on that journey.
Yeah.
But I do think at some point as adults we have to recognize, like, okay, let me get in touch with me, especially if we've had several failed relationships.
Mhm.
Another thing I want to mention, with you being the intimacy coach, and one of the things that you mentioned again is being in contact with yourself. And
Mhm.
so one of the things that I found out about myself, because you said when you mention intimacy, most people go to sex,
Yeah.
right? So what I found about myself is, when we talk about the love languages. So
Mhm.
my top love language is quality time and physical touch. And they
Yeah.
always say, well, most guys always go to physical touch, like somewhat,
Yeah.
right? And I had to really kind of look at myself one time, because I did used to feel like I had a high sex drive,
Yeah.
right? But when I really started looking at it, and I was like, you know what? I don't have a high sex drive. It's just that I'm not in past relationships. I haven't gotten the physical touch part. You know what I mean? Like those little touches, rub your head, kiss, hug. I was never really getting that on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
So the only time that I was really getting the physical touch was during intercourse. And so it
Exactly.
seemed like, oh, you always want intercourse. When I was like, no. And when I thought about it, I was like, you know what? If I was just getting those little hugs and kisses during the day and all of that, then my sex drive wouldn't have been so high because that's the only time that I got that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I had to come to terms with that. And I was just like, oh, you know, so that's one of the things I talk about too. And I'm just like, hey, I need that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I
Yeah.
need those little reassurances.
Yeah.
I need the little, and on the other side, I need someone that can receive that as well. Because I
Yeah.
remember being in a relationship, and because that's my love language, I
Mhm.
do tend to express it in the same way. But the little things, just like tapping somebody on the butt,
Mhm.
And
Right. Right.
I was dating this one young lady. I almost said this one chick. I want to call her
You're
that.
like, oh,
This one young lady. And she just hated that so
yeah.
much. And I was like, why? Like I'm your man. It ain't like we're in public and I'm just like, pow, but just little, intimate touches or whatever. And
Mhm.
she just did not like that,
Mhm.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, you know. But I
Yeah.
just think again, I think when we have to take the time to really kind of get in touch with ourselves and figure
Yeah.
out who we are, especially at our age, at our stage of life that we're in.
Yeah.
Because again, most of us probably been around the block a couple times
Mhm.
now, and we really need to focus on what we're doing wrong. And like you said, we're trying to skip so many steps, right?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, when I was on I took myself off the whole dating site thing, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it alone for now. But one of the things that I will always see is dating with a purpose. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And like you said, you're already trying to jump to marriage, and we haven't even said hello yet. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like, okay, I think we're all dating with a purpose,
Mhm.
but how fast are you trying to get there? You know what I'm saying? It's
Exactly.
like it's a journey, it's not a race.
Right. Right. It's almost as if everyone is out here, not everyone, but a lot of people are out
Mhm.
here operating as if they only have, and I get it, we're all here for a certain amount of time, right?
Mhm.
And some people think that that time is short or however you believe, but a lot of people are operating as if we live in a time where people are for sure going to die at like 30 or 40 years old. Now,
Mhm.
not to say that people aren't, dying at an
Right.
alarming rate, but I mean, studies and research has shown that we're living a lot longer than our predecessors. So,
Right.
it's no reason to be in that type of rush when it comes
Yes.
to such a huge life decision. Even if you don't marry someone, just the decision of saying, I'm gonna put a stamp on this and we are in a committed, relationship. That's a huge life decision that I don't think people should just take that lightly. And so when they're rushing into this, basically what you're saying is, I'm not taking this as seriously because if I was, I would do my due diligence. And so,
Right.
yeah, a lot of people are in a hurry and don't even know why. That's the thing, too. It's like, have you really sat and asked yourself, why is this so important to me? This is something I tell like all of my clients all the time, no matter what we're talking about. If you find yourself getting very frustrated or upset, passionate about something, excited, exuberant, ask yourself why. What is it about that thing or that situation that takes you to that level? Explore that a little bit more. So then that way, when things come up in a relationship or when you're talking to someone, you can effectively explain it. A lot of times people can't explain it because they don't know. And if you're
Mhm.
still struggling by yourself to figure it out, that's why you have people like coaches, and therapists to kind of help you walk through this. Like, I've made these mistakes in the past, or I'm meeting the same type of people. I want to kind of just explore that a little bit more. What is it that I'm missing, or why am I like on this hamster wheel of experiencing the same thing over and over again? Now, sometimes, it is the other people, right? It's like everybody's
But,
crazy,
but you chose them.
right,
I always say you chose them though, so you
right,
still got
right,
to kind of look back at you a little bit.
right. but, but a lot of times, because a relationship is two people, so we're gonna always have some sense of responsibility in whatever is going on within the interaction. So it's never just one sided. It's never
Yeah.
just all of these people are doing this or all of these people are doing that. It's like, well, what is it about me? How am I showing up out here, in these dating streets? Let me take some
Mhm.
inventory, and let me sit with it for a little bit and see what I come up with.
Yeah.
And it's okay too to, if you identify people in your life that maybe you could use the word admire, or you see them doing something that you're like, okay, it seems like you all have a pretty fulfilling relationship, not a perfect one, but a fulfilling one. How do you all do that? Like, how did you meet? And like, what were some of the things, the signs that you looked for, or things that were important to you? We don't lean on each other enough like that, and then what happens is we wait for, social media to tell us what to do with our lives. And that's a big open pool for anyone with a microphone. So
yeah. And I was finna go there. And so I was recording an episode of my other podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I didn't even have that podcast when we met, right? So I started that podcast last year on Father's Day. But I did a recent recording with a gentleman, and he was, telling me, his daddy-daughter story. And he told me that when his wife, she wasn't his wife at the time, they were still dating, and she ended up getting pregnant. And his brother came to him and was like, I think you should tell her, you guys should get an abortion, And so his brother gave him this whole spiel about, he think he should, tell his girlfriend at the time that they should get an abortion and whatever. And he went to her and was like, I think we should get an abortion. Basically saying everything that his brother had said. And what he said was, what she said to him was, I'm not getting an abortion, number one. But number two, you need to figure out if you want to be with me. Because number one, if you're going to be with me, this is what I come with. We got this child that's coming now, and that's what it is. But what he said was he had to stop for a second, and he realized that he never even took the time to process for himself the activity that was going on. Because he was like, when he stopped and thought about it, he was like, number one, I do want to be with her, you know what I mean? And they end up getting married and been married since then. But he was like, I do want to be with her, and I do want my child, I do want this opportunity to start building a family. But he was like, but he was embarrassed because he had took this information that his brother had gave him and never even thought to consider for himself what he wanted. And so I think that's the same place where we're at a lot in these dating streets with social media. We're just taking in so many different ideas that other people are spewing, and some other people not even living what they're telling you that you should be doing, and we talk about just by some examples, different musicians who's put out music that's like, I'm an independent woman or whatever, but then they're married with a husband at home. You know what I'm saying? And so, but they're putting all these messages out, and people are just taking it in, and not even taking the time to really consider their own thoughts and how what they really want in a relationship is these thoughts is going to get them there. These ideas is going to get them what they said they wanted. And I just think it's crazy. I seen a video clip the other day from a young man. He was being interviewed. And the lady asked him about the 50-50 rule or whatever, and he was saying like, one of the things is in this generation, because it's put out so much, because she referred to a video where I guess the women was like testing their men. And so they would come to him and be like, oh, I don't have my mortgage, I don't have my rent for this month. Could you help me? And so for those men who was like, oh, I got it, and they paid the whole thing, they was like praising them. But for those men that were just like, baby, I can't pay your whole rent, like I could give you something on it to help you out, but that's not, where there is at. And so for those men, they were kind of like dogging them, like, yeah, you ain't got it, whatever. And so what the gentleman was saying was, again, going back to what is really productive in your relationship. It's like it should be 100-100, not 50-50, because sometimes you may have it, sometimes you don't have it. And if we're in this together, we're doing what's best for the relationship. And at that moment, whoever has the capacity to take care of whatever the problem is, that's who take care of it. So if it's this month and I've been laid off, I'm a bricklayer, I get laid off all the time. You know what I'm saying? So if I have to be laid off, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not getting 100% of my regular wages. You may have to come in and be like, all right, honey, I got the difference this time. And then, next time, same thing, because we're covering each other in this covenant of relationship, and that's how it should be. But I think again that the social media and it's been such a blessing to me, right, with the whole
Right.
podcast and to get into podcasting.
Yeah.
But I just shake my head sometimes because I'm like, everybody don't need a microphone. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all. Or at least you had a microphone, it just should not work. Okay. So it's like,
Yeah,
don't even turn it on. Like it needs to be broken. Right. So,
yeah. But yeah, I just think that's really a big negative now because and again we're not taking the time and I again I maybe just me, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying, maybe just me and I'm old school and watching my example of my parents, but I just can't see how that at in my 40s, you know,
Mhm.
finna be 50 soon,
Yeah.
that people around my age is not taking out the time and say, okay, let me slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially since if we want to look at it from the point of view that, you know, time is shorter. We have more time
Yeah.
behind us than probably in front of us, right?
Yeah.
And if we're looking at it that way, then it's like, okay, maybe I should slow down a little bit to make sure these years that's coming up, I'm going to be straight and I'm going to be
Yeah.
living it in a way that I want to be able to enjoy it. And I
Yeah.
don't think that we're necessarily taking out the time to do that, to really
Not at
like
all.
think
Yeah,
about it.
and I would say too, and this is not to definitely not to sound like a prude. I'm a whole intimacy coach, okay? So, but I would say, if people could look at relationships just like we look at anything else, there's a natural order to everything. Everything we
Mhm.
do has an order, meaning like a step-by-step process. When we think
Right.
about a pregnancy, when you think about when the child is first conceived, and then the next stages of, there's the the seed, the embryo, everything is growing and developing, and then eventually there's the little hands, you start seeing the feet, like none of this stuff can just go from conception to birth. Like there
Right.
has to be all of these
Mhm.
steps, or like when we think about um when the weather changes, and like when the trees, bloom and different things like that. But then when it gets colder and it's the fall and the leaves fall, like all of this is an order to it, because it's honestly no other way it's gonna truly work without it
Mhm.
being in an order. And so a lot of times we're not approaching relationships from more of an orderly perspective. So I get, like I said, this is where I don't want anyone to think it's like prude when we think about it. But a
Mhm.
lot of times, if we jump from I met you the first day and we're in the bed the second day, and then we're expecting a marriage in 5 weeks, that's actually the order is off. It's totally off.
Mhm.
But if you say, hey, I meet someone, we have sex on the first night or whatever like that, it's a possibility a wedding can come down the line. It's just the exception, not typically
Right.
the rule, because of the order. So naturally, like just as we are as human beings, we do need to kind of go back to following a system. And because, in our world today, and we're very liberal, and we have a lot of freedoms and rights to do a lot of things. We just have to know what comes with it. So if you're going to engage in all of these different ways of taking a different route, just know that the outcome may not look like how it would if you followed a system or like
Yeah.
an order. And so, I think a lot of times we don't want to hear those truths because it's not what
Mhm.
we really want. Like we're like, oh, I want to do it this way. And it's like, great, well, you can. I'm just letting you know that more than
Yeah.
likely this is probably what's gonna follow. Um,
Right.
we think about how, as a woman, if I give myself very freely at the beginning, I'm not trying to say that the man won't respect me. I mean, he probably would still, depending on how I carry myself. But he may take a second look at, like, I'm not sure though if you're the person I actually want to really commit to. Because I haven't really had a chance to really feel you out. All I see is what you've given me. And you've
Right.
already given me one of the most, sacred things
Yeah.
about yourself, which is your body. So if you were able to do that so early on, I'm just wondering down the line, how comfortable will you be even with other people like that, if
Yeah.
it's that easy? You don't even know me. So if you were to meet someone else and we're in a relationship, will you be free to just kind of, give it away so freely because you're just comfortable like that, and that's okay. But he may not be looking at it from the perspective of, I think I want to kind of have a committed relationship with her or marry her, because I mean she sounds like she may be available in that way to other people. And we know, guys, you all are competitive. Like you all got to win. It's like, come on now, right? Like, I want to know that I am the only one that has her in a certain way, not just technically sex, but you all just want to know, like, I want to know that she is really mine, and I think sometimes as women, we get, especially older and we've had more experiences, we get uncomfortable with that because we think, oh, he's trying to possess me, or he's trying to control me. He's trying to tell me what to do, and I can't be my own person. But again, when we think about the order of things, if we're thinking about you all's role and what you're there to do, you're there to kind of solidify, what your legacy or whatever it's going to be. And so you kind of need her to fall in line with that program. And I know those words are like icky for a lot of women. I know.
Yeah. I love it though. I love it though, and because I'm listening. And one of the things that you mentioned just now about was I guess some women feeling like that the guy may be trying to control them. And then they're like, well, I can't be myself or whatever. And that goes back to what I was saying a little earlier about really taking the time to think about what is it that you want out of this relationship, because some of the things that you call being yourself is not getting you what you want. You know what I'm saying? And so even in the example that you mentioned, by giving yourself to a man too quickly, too early, again, with us being competitive, like we are, even in relationships. So even if you are the prize, we're still in competition with you, so to speak. And so if you're giving out, participation trophies already, what I'm saying? It's like, are we all getting, like you said, are we all getting these trophies?
Right. That's how you all are wired.
It's like you're getting this to everybody. Yep. And that's another thing with myself. And at this point where I am, I don't necessarily have the conversation anymore when people say, what do you want? Right? What are you looking for? And I'm like, I don't have that conversation anymore because I don't want to tell you what I'm looking for. And then you portray to be that. Right. And so I'm like, we are almost in our 50s now. I just want you to be you. And then if I'm attracted to you, then we good. If I'm not, no love lost. You know what I'm saying? But again, you get to be you. And I think that's another thing that people sometimes have a hard time accepting is, yes, I want to be me. And then when you show up like you and the other person like, I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? Then they're offended, like, what you mean? You know what I mean? Like, no, you're just not right for me. Be you. You know what I'm saying? But find that person that's attracted to what you putting out, because I'm just like, no, I'm good on that. You know what I'm saying? But I think it goes back to us really thinking about what it is that we want out of a relationship. And then once we understand what we want, is what I'm doing, is how I'm carrying myself, is how I'm behaving in the midst of this journey to a positive long-term relationship, is what I'm doing actually getting me what I want. And I think that a lot of times we don't take that chance or take that time.
And like you said, that's the biggest part. The patience, and I'm going to say this more so, I see this more with women than I do with men, but the patience is like it's almost like you all don't have a fighting chance sometimes because there's these expectations. And so when I'm talking to women, I always try to explain to them, if you can come up with 3 categories, right? You have a category of non-negotiables, you have a category of flexibility, and then you have a category of things that have absolutely no bearing on a relationship to you. Like if this is said or done, I'm not going to lose any sleep. I'm not going to blow up. It's not a big deal. But those non-negotiables, that's a really serious category. And when I tell women that category actually should not be like a whole mile long. It should be like some basic, like 3 to 5 type core values that no matter what, I'm not compromising on that. Like I cannot be flexible because again, this plays into my belief system or, who I am as a person or whatever that is. So that might mean a non-negotiable could be, absolutely no drugs. Like, I don't do drugs. I don't believe in it. And, I don't want my partner to, I don't think it's healthy. Some people are very serious about, just their health in terms of we have to be able to be conscious of what we're eating, consuming, and engaging in physical activity. Like, I cannot have anything less than that because I'm serious about the longevity, of our lives or whatever that is. A non-negotiable could be, I don't tolerate someone calling me out of my name, or cursing at me or whatever. Like, those really stark, like, so that when you see it and you hear it, it's a no-brainer. It's like, I'm not dealing with that. And then, like I say, you have a category of like flexibility. Like, okay, so say for instance, if we're going to talk about jobs, or money, careers, maybe he is at a point, where he makes a certain amount of money. Oh, I would love, if he made this amount, but I'm flexible on that because I understand how things go in life. Like, I'm willing to support him in any way that I can to get him there. And this is for men too, vice versa, And so I say that's really important because if you have at least a guide, like you need like some type of compass of like, where am I going? Then that way, when you're in the dating stages and you're learning, you can take your time. Women should never feel like they're wasting their time as long as they're not giving up anything like sex, money. You're not wasting your time, really. That's why a lot of times women get frustrated because they're like, I gave him some, what I'm saying? Or I was cooking for him, or, what I'm saying? I was popping up at his house doing his laundry. That's why you're frustrated. Those things you don't even have to worry about right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can be a lot more patient, when you're just really just talking to somebody, going out with them. Yeah, you might want to, show physical affection, give them a hug or a kiss here and there. But like anything deeper than that, then like, no, like right now, that's not on the table because I'm getting to know you. And anyone that presses you about that, then that they have a different agenda. It's as simple as that. And so if the agenda is different, then that's the non-negotiable. We have different agendas. And I'm okay with if you need to, go your separate ways, I go my separate ways. But a lot of that is identifying those categories and being very specific about them. Because I always tell people too, specifics are sexy. I don't care. It's not boring. Is that specifics are on point. So when you can lead with that, then you can be a lot more patient. You're not in a rush to try to like lock down someone like tomorrow, because
and I would like to say, because I was listening to you when you, even in your examples, some of the things that you mentioned as far as your non-negotiables, and I'm like, that's on my list. You know what I mean? Just listening to you, and I think that even with that, we also have to think about once we have our non-negotiables, are we able to provide those non-negotiables too? You know what I mean? Because if I'm looking if I'm looking for this from you, I should be able to provide those same things to you, because of course we want someone who's in like-mindedness in this relationship. So some of our non-negotiables should match, on the list. And so, when we're coming up with our non-negotiables, we also have to, reflect it back on ourselves and like make sure that I'm giving you just the same thing I'm asking from you too. So again, we're not feeling like we're getting played and that we've been misused or whatever, because it's a back and forth and we're both getting it. I will say this before we get out of here. I will say this. I am not discouraged, fully discouraged. I am a little bit discouraged, but I'm not fully discouraged. I did meet a young lady not too long ago, and had the very same conversation similar to what we're having. Like, this is what I'm looking for, and we actually spent like a year or a little over a year in a what is the word? I can't even say it. Monogamous. Is that what the word is?
Oh, now you all were in a monogamous
no, that's not the word. I'm platonic. That's the word I was trying to say.
Okay.
So we were actually in a platonic friendship.
Okay.
For over a year, and we hung out a lot. We did a lot of activities and stuff together, and we enjoyed, just really built a nice friendship during that time period. And then we decided to date for a while, and we did date for almost a year. But when we got to the end of that year, it was just it was a decision that we both came to. Just like, you know what, we do have, and we're still friends. So we do have a good friendship here. But right now, the relationship part is not, is not giving us what we both want. So let's end that, go back to being friends, and we, be cool. And we still friends since that time. So I am not like I said, I'm not 100% discouraged. I'm sure
Good.
there's someone I'm like, all right, let's build this friendship thing and see how it works. And again, like you said, even in that, we were friends for a year, we dated for a year. When we got to the end and decided that we're better off friends than in a dating relationship, we didn't feel like we wasted our time,
Yeah,
even
exactly.
though it didn't go where we wanted it
Right.
to go long term. We
Yeah.
still didn't feel like we wasted our time. We still enjoyed our time together, and we
Yeah.
still hang out every now and
Yeah.
then because we're friends and we built
Right.
the friendship. And I think, I think, at least to me, I think that's most important.
It is.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. No,
I'm
and
not
it's,
I'm not 100% discouraged.
well, I'm glad to hear that because that is like a great segue into. So obviously, I coach a lot of couples, but
Mhm.
I am co-hosting a speed dating event that's coming
Yes.
up. Yeah, on February 15th. It's in Chicago in Hyde Park. And the reason why I think this is going to be just amazing, we're fusing R&B bingo, which is kind of like this thing that's been popping up lately at a lot of different events. And I'm so excited about it because it's for the age ranges of 35 to 55. This is for people who are, just kind of like, I'm out here, I'm dating, maybe I'm divorced, maybe I've never been married, maybe I've been dating for quite some time, but I just really want to meet some quality people. I want to have a good
Mhm.
time. I don't want any pressure. And this is what this is all about. This is about just people coming together, connecting over R&B music. I mean, like when you're in the age range of 35 to
Yeah.
55, we don't have a lot of fun with the music part, So
Yeah.
because there's a lot of music, the nostalgia of it and everything, and I know that that's going to connect the people that are going to be there. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited about this event. The tickets are $30. We're very much serious about, when you purchase your ticket, you also have to fill out a brief questionnaire because we want to just make sure that we're just really monitoring the people that are going to be a part of this event. It's very purposeful and intentional, but you don't have to feel like you're going to come in there and someone's going to start asking you, can you marry me tomorrow? You know what I mean? It's not,
Right.
yeah, no, it's nothing like that. So we have a very curated experience for everyone, and there's different cards so that you have questions that you all can ask each other so you don't feel stumped and that you don't feel like you're caught off guard, but just a really relaxing vibe. Dress to impress, of course, because we want everyone to look their best. Because if you come in to meet people, you want to look good. You want to smell good. You want to feel good. So it's going to be definitely a good vibe. So hopefully you all
Yes,
can check it out.
I'm excited about it. I know I reposted it probably on my regular page,
Oh,
but
great,
I'm gonna
great.
make sure that I
Yeah,
post it inside of the community, and you can
yeah.
post it as well. And I
Great.
definitely want to make sure you send me the names of the books,
Yeah,
of your books, because I want to
for
make
sure.
sure that I post that also in the community. And Angie, I just want to say thank you
Thank you.
again,
Thank
for
you.
being on the podcast, way back when.
Yeah.
And we do have to do a follow up, a follow up interview because it's been a couple of years. So
I
I think
know. I know.
it's about time. But I'm excited for this event that you have coming up here. And I'm definitely going to promote it,
Yeah.
within the community and also outside of the community. And I just want to say thank you for being a part
No,
of this
thanks for
community.
having me.
To everyone, make sure that you guys are, setting up or scheduling your meet the community interviews, because as you can see, we have amazing people in our community, and so we got to get to know each other. And y'all might have some questions for Angie like I did. What I'm saying? We got almost 500 people in the
That's
community now, so
amazing. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody got some questions about
Oh,
how
yeah.
to keep things right or get things right. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
again, Angie, I want to say thank you, for
Thank
being here.
you.
Thank you for being a part of the community. I want you to end us off with sharing where we can find you, how we can get in contact with you if we want to support you, and probably have you be a coach in our relationships. So
Oh, great, great. Thank you. Well, obviously, my website is angiedlee.com. Very simple, just my name. Or intimacy, theintimacyguru.com. So they link to the same site. But if you are having a hard time remembering, just think about my name, angiedlee.com. And then also I'm on Facebook, Instagram, obviously TikTok, soon to be not TikTok. I don't know
right.
what's happening there, but but that's my handle is Into Me See Coach. So that's IN, the number 2, MESEECOACH. And then I'm also on YouTube as well, under Angie D. Lee. So a lot of cool videos on there, a little bit more longer, length videos where I just really kind of dive into real topics that couples are really dealing with. Not a lot of fluff, none of that. Like, not the whole debate about men against women. This is like, let's just figure out what we need to do. Let's get it right and get it on track. So that's a lot of the things that I talk about on YouTube. So I hope to see some of you all in there, and I hope to see you all at that event as well, if you're looking to, make a connection with someone. So that's February 15th in Hyde Park, and tickets can be available at rleemusic.com. That's RLEEMUSIC.com.
All right. And we've got to definitely make sure that, again, that we post it inside the community, so you guys should be able to find it quite easily. Thank you so much, Angie, for being on. Thank you to everyone that's a part of the community that has been watching the interviews. Because we almost been on here an hour, so we can talk all day. Guys, give me a favor real quick before you log off. Hit that invite button and invite a couple of your suggested friends to join our community, so we can help each other grow and heal and fulfill our purpose that we have in this world. So thank you guys once again for being a part of the Deal, Heal, Fulfill community. Until next time, you guys be blessed.